Oh, hello, everyone, and welcome to the Let's Talk Fabulous show. I am your host this week, Gloria Grace Rand, and oh my goodness, it is the holidays, and it's a wonderful life. It's one of my favorite films, and we're gonna be talking about how to create our own wonderful life and fabulous too with some amazing guests. So let's see, what are we waiting for? Let's talk. Oh, hello, lovely ladies, and we are still working feverishly behind the scenes to bring a couple more people back. We're tracking them down, and I know that they're going to be here, but first of all, I just want to thank both of you for being here, and welcome to everyone who is watching, whether you're watching live or on the replay. It's going to be an amazing show, I just know, and I'm trusting that everything is going to work out. So first of all, I'm going to start with you two lovely ladies and have you introduce yourselves and tell us where you're coming in from today. So I'll go to the wonderful person on my right. There we go. I finally got it right this time. It's like I have to move my arm so I see where you are. So Jean, go ahead.
Hello, thank you for having me. Merry Christmas. I am Jean Alfieri, author, speaker, dog fan, and I am here today from Colorado Springs, Colorado.
All right. Welcome. And down below, you're below me on the screen anyway, Pragito.
Hello, everyone. I am Pragito Dove, meditation master, author, and hypnotherapist. And I am delighted to be here today. And I'm calling in from Tucson, Arizona.
All right. Excellent. And I apologize if my video is lagging a bit today. It is because my internet has just decided to be a little wonky because I see I have one little dot there. So again, I'm trusting everything is going to work out. And so we're talking today about It's a Wonderful Life. And even though one of our guests is not here yet, but I'm sure he's going to be here momentarily. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and play his video. This is Skip Thomas, or as he affectionately likes to be known as Steampunk Poe. But I think it's going to really set the tone for what we're going to be talking about today. So let's take a look at
it. Each of us have a valuable life story to share. Let's look at two amazing stories. What's the difference between George Bailey's It's a Wonderful Life versus Poe's Wonderful Life? Well, not as much as you might think. Frank Capra's 1946 movie featured the spirit of a young man facing life's adventure. Jimmy Stewart played a character who gave his heart to his community, his family, that drove him to decisions that could have ended his life. It took an angel revealing just how many lives he had touched, had changed, and inspired to be the best they could be.
Strange, isn't it? Each man's life touches so many other lives. When he isn't around, he leaves an awful hole, doesn't he?
Get me back! Get me back! I don't care what happens to me! Get me back to my wife and kids! Help me, Clarence, please! Please! I want to live again!
It soon became evident to George Bailey.
You see, George, you really had a wonderful life.
Now, introducing Poe and his wonderful life. Perhaps you've heard of the Fool's Journey. It's also known as the Hero's Journey. It's the journey of self-discovery, growth, and transformation. It's a journey that's symbolized by innocence, ignorance, and potential. Through various challenges and experiences on this journey, help the Fool's Journey to grow and evolve, transforming into the Hero's Journey. Poe, also known as Skip, is launching a series of life adventures and is encouraging each of you to begin recording, sharing your own life adventures. Each chapter of our lives are treasures, our legacy that can help inspire others, teach through our experiences, and be preserved now for generations to come. History is made from stories of the past. Let's preserve our history, beginning with you and me. So let's do this together.
All right, and I know we've got another guest waiting in the wings, and I'm going to trust that she is all set up now, and we're going to bring her around and make sure we can hear her. So let's see, Tanya, hello.
Hello, how are you guys?
I'm good. We just introduced Jean and Pragito a moment ago. Can you share with us a little bit, or just tell us your name and where you're coming in from right now?
All right. My name is Tanya Jones. I'm coming in from the Atlanta area. I'm down in my son's basement. And
Well,
my
you know
grandson
what?
just rescued me, or else I wouldn't have been on here because it was a major challenge, even for him. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, I'm glad to be here. Glad to see you guys.
Awesome. Well, we're glad you're here. And so we were just showing this wonderful video that our other guest who might be having internet issues as well, Skip Thomas, put together about It's a Wonderful Life. So I thought maybe actually I might just start with having you each kind of tell us a little bit about maybe what your biggest takeaway is from It's a Wonderful Life. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to call on you, Jean, put you in the spotlight first and have you share a little bit about, like what, either your biggest takeaway or what that movie really means to you.
Sure. I really take away all that you contribute to the world and don't recognize it until you're ready to jump off a bridge, right? And how do we not want to get there in our life, but appreciate all that we offer to others? And I think it's just classic why everyone is drawn to this movie is because we don't see it. And just how important it is to kind of step back every once in a while and take a look at that so that we don't end up wanting to jump off a bridge.
Yeah, absolutely. That's for sure. We need to value every day the wonderful life that we do have. And even though there are days where things don't go right, but it still beats the alternative.
Yes.
How about you, Pragito? What are your thoughts?
Well, for me, fundamentally, this movie is about giving and receiving. George was conditioned, like a lot of people are, to give, to take care of his family, to give and give and give. And that's where he saw his value in that he was always giving. And when his financial situation collapsed, so he didn't really have anything to give. So then he thought, oh, well, that's the end of my life, because he didn't see the value in just him, in being who he was. And he didn't seem to know about receiving, but the circumstances, because he was out of money, and then the whole town comes to give gifts to him, he realized the value in receiving as well. And so he found that's the balance I think we all need to find in our lives is yes, we want to give. Of course we want to give. And this culture we live in is all about giving and give and give and give. Even just had Giving Tuesday. But what about receiving? Because we have to balance the giving with receiving. I mean, there's no, what about receiving Wednesday? When everybody spends the day focused on receiving. I think the practice of receiving is incredibly important. Every day that we give to ourselves in some way or another. And keep ourselves in balance, because if you don't, you're going to go into burnout, and as George did, be on the brink of suicide because you think you have no worth. But when you practice receiving, you practice your self-worth and your deservingness. And so that is, I think, at the fundamentals of creating a wonderful life.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other point that I always make as well is the fact that if there's no one there to receive your gift, then you're not able to give. So you have to be able to receive as well as give. I think that's so important. All right, Tanya, I'm going to put you on the spotlight now. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, it's changed. I've seen this movie several times, as I'm sure all of you have. When I looked at it most recently, I started I started reflecting on the fact that this exists even now. It's very hard for people to ask for help. I thought about, okay, where were the other relatives? We didn't know whether they knew even what was going on. And in that age, the wife might not have known what was going on until it was crisis stage anyway. So rather than having to wait on the charity of your neighbors or your friends, which the way we live now, you don't even know who your neighbor is next door. So learning how to ask for help when, especially if it's in a crisis, is a hard thing for most people to do. I knew it would be for me. But I think just as the other lady mentioned, we have to learn how to receive as well as just give. I think that a lot of times, if you don't have really close friends who know you, and they know when your voice is not the same and something's pretty harsh is going on, and they ask you, I think that we've got to all learn how to let our pride go down and say, listen, we've run into hard times. That's one of the things that COVID, I think, has actually done, because everybody was isolated for so long. So that many people are in financial straits now, because of the raising in prices of the groceries and all of the other things that have been happening after that. And so I noticed even at the cash register in the grocery store, it's no longer an embarrassment if the credit card doesn't show for people, it goes into a negative, and the cashiers understand, and there's a different attitude. It's not neighbors coming to your help, but it is people who you don't even know sometimes, acknowledging that it is hard times, and not everybody is a millionaire. And so you can kind of get caught short. And I think that's important, to be able to ask for help, not at the cash register, hopefully, but definitely, there are always resources around. And we have friends. We may not have as many friends as he had, because he worked in a bank. But everybody's got some friends or acquaintances or some people that they can go and kind of get a little emergency aid, until they can kind of get their bearing again. And I think we have to remember that that's okay. Ask for help if you need it.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think you raised some important points there, and which I think is going to actually segue really nicely into our next video. So I'm gonna share this right now.
What is a wonderful life? I can tell you it's not perfect. When we brought Morty home, he was supposed to be with us 4 weeks while he got things taken care of. He needed a dental. He needed to be neutered. He needed his herniated disc checked on. And then, finally, what they thought was worms turned out to be a tumor in his colon that was inoperable. For those reasons and for his age, it was determined he couldn't be adopted out. When I called my husband with the news, his immediate reaction was, "So we're keeping him, right?" And I'm so glad we did. That was a year ago. We understood that his health issues weren't going to subside, and they haven't. But he has helped us and the rest of our fur family live a wonderful life, as we hope he's enjoyed his wonderful life. What does your wonderful life look like? I bet it's not perfect.
I love that, Jean. I'm gonna put you back in here to expand on that, because yeah, we can have a wonderful life, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a perfect life, does it?
No, and I think we have this vision. I think our culture promotes it, right? It's all about having more. And, Pragito did a nice job of bringing in the subject of balance. What is balance, though? We think that having a job and then 3 side hustles is somehow balanced, but it's not, right? It's being able to appreciate the abundance in your life and what you have in your life. I mean, for us and our family, it's being able to adopt dogs. We call them vintage puppies. We like the senior dogs. And that brings us a level of satisfaction that, we wouldn't get, but there's still balance. I think when you talk about what George didn't have in his life was the opportunity to get away, right? He wanted to get away to go to school. He wanted to get away for his honeymoon. He wanted to get away for vacation and could never do that. Well, how could we better prioritize those things in our life to be enjoying what we want to experience now? It is so often the mindset that, oh, when I retire, I'll have this, or oh, when I achieve this level of professionalism in my career, I will have that. And we miss the journey, and we all know it, right? We say it's the journey, but are we truly embracing what that journey involves?
Yeah, that's such an important point to think about, because it's like, someday I'll get to that, or someday, but if you keep putting it off, someday comes and then you haven't, and then you wind up with a lot of regret. And I know for me, I've decided that I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, it took me years to go to Europe. For some reason, everybody in my family had gone to Europe, but I, for whatever reason, felt it was, I don't know, too expensive or whatever. And it took my daughter deciding that she wanted to go. And I'm like, well, if you're going, and she'd already been once when she was in junior high. I'm like, well, if you're going, I'm going with you, especially because she wanted to go to Hungary, where my grandparents are from. So, and now it's like, well, what the heck did I wait around for so much? Either of you ladies, Pragito or Tanya, want to piggyback on what Jean was talking about?
Yes, I would like to take the opportunity here to talk about gratitude, because Jean was talking about appreciating what you have. And I think that's really the essence of a fabulous life, of being able to appreciate what it is you have, because we do live in this more culture, which is really feeding the ego, which wants to get all puffed up and see, I've got more than my neighbors, and I've got more than this person and that person. But it's gratitude that feeds the heart and the soul. And the interesting thing is, with gratitude, the more we appreciate and are grateful for what we have, the universe is listening and gives us more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I created a practice of gratitude as part of all the healing therapy that I've done in my life, to change my mindset and change my whole attitude to my life. So instead of always complaining about this, that, and the other, I changed it to I was always grateful every day for what I have. And then you just live in a state of joy. It's really quite simple how to live in a state of joy. However much you've got in your bank account, or however many possessions you have, etc. And also, I'm sorry, Joy, your name's got taken.
Oh.
Also, as you said, life's not perfect. I think we have perfect moments, but it's never always going to go our way.
Yeah, absolutely.
The universe has other people to consider who are in our sphere. And so when we can have that feeling of I don't want to say just, of being grateful for what we have and being thankful, you really feel like $1 million when you feel thankful.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, that deserves this. Need to do that. And I also want to just, I'm going to also interrupt with one other little video because I noticed some Purple Hearts going by today, and we want to pay homage to some very special folks who had a real penchant for Purple Hearts. All right. Tanya, how about you? You want to add to this conversation a little bit? What are your thoughts on what we've been talking about so far?
I'm coming from a little different point. I had a couple of very significant experiences when I was in training as a medical student. And one, I walked in on a person who was dying, but it's like one bed in the middle of everything was white, and the person all by themselves.
Oops. Uh-oh, we're having a little technical difficulty there. So I tell you what we're going to do. We're going to play your video right now, Pragito. Actually, we'll continue that conversation, and hopefully Tanya will be able to jump back in here in a moment.
Hi, everyone. Do you want to have a wonderful, fabulous life? I'm Pragito Dove from discovermeditation.com. And my number one tip for having a fabulous, wonderful life is to get into meditation. And my favorite meditation, and the most popular one I teach, is the laughter meditation. When you add more laughter into your life, you bring in more joy, more fun, more playfulness. And when you add meditation, you experience more calm, more connection to your spirit and your inner wisdom.
I loved that, and I know we connected before, and when you had talked about laughter meditation, I think that's such a key ingredient of having a wonderful life. I mean, gratitude for sure. Yeah, that's one of our sayings. Caroline's got it right there. Humor, hope, heart, and a whole lot of love is what we are about here. So talk a little bit more about that, about laughter meditation and other forms of meditation and helping us to create this wonderful life.
Well, it's interesting because the reason I got into meditation was because I'd had a very, very difficult childhood. And when my son was born, I committed that I did not want to do to him what my mother had done to me. I wanted to heal myself and be the best possible mother I could be. So that was my motivation. And I ended up taking him as a baby to India to study meditation.
Oh, wow.
And while I was there, I found out about all these expressive meditation techniques, because I used to think meditation, you just sat like this, for hours on end at 3 a.m. or something. And I just couldn't do it because I was fidgety and my mind was going a million miles an hour. But with the expressive techniques, there's laughter and tears and dancing and humming and gibberish, you can express out of the body-mind all of your emotions that maybe become trapped. Mine had certainly become trapped. And then when you do that in the first stage, in the second stage, when you do sit in silence, it's very easy to drop down to find your inner stillness and inner peace. And of course, everybody's favorite is the laughter meditation. The first stage, we just laugh. And laughter is an amazing, amazing experience because, first of all, you release a tremendous amount of stress from the body, mind when you're laughing. The heart opens. It's very good for relationships. And the mind stops with all the worrying and anxiety because you cannot be worried and laughing at the same time. So it gives you a reprieve, if you like. So moments where the mind is not there. And that's wonderful in itself. And then for your spirit, when we finish the laughter and go into the silence, which is sitting in silence, which is the second part of the meditation, it's very easy to drop down into your inner silence. It's really amazing how it works, and it can work in a very short amount of time. I mean, in all my trainings that I've done hundreds of hours of laughter and hundreds of hours of sitting in silence. But new people find they can drop down very quickly to the silence, and it converts them. It's like, oh yes, I can do meditation. And just so everybody knows, I have a free laughter meditation I do every Monday on Zoom. And go to my website and you can sign up, and it's 15 minutes only, because I really want to encourage as many people as possible to add more joy, more laughter, and more silence and inner peace to your lives, because that can definitely give you a fabulous life.
Absolutely.
That is so interesting. I'm sorry, Gloria.
No, go ahead, because I was gonna call on you too, because I wanted. Go ahead, and then I'm going to ask you about that as well.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I've never heard of it as a meditation practice, and yet laughter, right, helps you to heal and helps you to get over hard times as well. So when you look at it from a just from a physiological standpoint, what it does for your body, what it does for your mind too, it helps in every aspect. That's so neat.
Yeah, and
it's very simple, but it's incredibly powerful because it heals, as you said, many layers of us in the laughter, and then the inner silence is so easy to find.
Yeah. And I was going to ask you, Jean, about, talking about laughter, that I think also having pets is a great way to have a wonderful life too. Can you maybe speak for that? And then I'm going to bring Tanya back on because she's here again.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? People who have pets understand, whether it's cat or dog, guinea pig, rabbit, right? All of their funny characteristics. I mean, they're just cute. So not only do they, fill a void of belonging and caretaking and happiness, because they're always glad to see you. They are just the antics. Oh my gosh, every day. I was getting ready for the show, and I turned around to leave the bathroom, and I hear click, click, click. I didn't even know. And I'm like, oh, so you were with me? Or I had like this parade coming out of the bathroom. I didn't know I had 3 dogs in the bathroom. It was hilarious. I'm like, okay, then here we go. So yes, just the companionship and the humor is fantastic.
Yeah, I love that.
Excuse me, just one more thing I want to say here, because animals are just pure love, pure unconditional love, and laughter is a dimension of love.
That's
People
true.
don't often think about it that way, but it is. So the more we are laughing, the more we are connecting with the heart. And of course, that's what animals bring us, the unconditional love.
Absolutely. And speaking of love, I'm going to go ahead and play Miss Tanya's video because I loved what she said. So we're gonna take a look at that and then get to talk with her now that she's back here.
Good morning. It's early in the morning, and what makes a fabulous life? I'm looking forward to the next chapter, but we're going to review some of the memories from the old chapter. That's my Christmas tree. I always wanted a flocked one when I was little, but we couldn't have one. My piano that I learned on when I was 9 years old. This is my ancestor altar. Each pine cone represents someone I've contributed. My grandfather clock, my mother gave me for my 50th birthday. This is Ghana. This is a Native American reservation I worked on. That's Mali. That's, I think, Nigeria. That's China. And first Native American saint. Remember this. And remember this.
All right. I love that. I love the tour that you gave us there. Can you talk a little bit about maybe like what do like some of those things, how do they represent having this wonderful, fabulous life to you?
Well, one of the things, especially women of our age, I really want to encourage people to have courage. Really, when I was 40 something, and I went through a divorce. I had two sons. They're 8 and 10 years old, and whoa, and I, I don't know what's I got poltergeist, everything. But at any rate, I thought, okay, I might not ever have another partner, so I'm going to start doing the things I wanted to do when I was young. I always wanted to travel. In fact, I got a fellowship to be go foreign fair scholar until I found out what that entailed. So I wanted somebody else to pay for the travel. But anyway, so I became an academic instead and took care of my sons. But what I did do is build in some things, even though it sometimes was difficult, as I was raising my sons and moving up in my career, and basically doing it by myself for the whole time. Those were memories for me. What I showed you, and that's the point I want to make. I think we can't stop creating memories. When I raised my sons, I had dogs and cats, and I loved them and what have you. But when I started moving on reservations and working there during COVID, it wasn't fair to have a pet, and I feel sometimes that I was tempted to let the uh, pet take away my courage to strike out and do some things different, like traveling and what have you. And so um, I made a decision to start a second career, and nobody wanted me to do it. Nobody. And I'm so happy that I did, and everybody else is happy I did now too. So courage is a very important time. I don't care what age you are. I'm going to try something new. I want some more memories. And I think that when we leave, it impressed upon me. I started when I got cut off was I witnessed someone dying as a medical student, all alone in this white sterile room, literally taking their last breaths. And I thought, I don't want to get to that point and say I woulda, shoulda, coulda. And so even though it's difficult sometimes, it'll be difficult now. I mean, I can't climb up in Peru now like I did before, but I can do other things. And I think that being curious and trying to move out of our comfort zone is important. I have too many friends who are sitting and they're retired and they're basically to me waiting to die. They're limiting their possibilities, and part of it is because they don't believe it's possible, because even my own sons, when I hurt my leg and couldn't do things, they started treating me like an invalid, like my brain didn't work, even though it was my hip. So So I think we have to be real careful not to go and not trap ourselves, but limit ourselves to what traditionally has gone on before. In the Wonderful Life movie, the wife had very, very nice role to play, but it was limited. And I was thinking, what would have happened these days if something like that happened? Well, the wife might have gone out and got another job or do whatever, good or bad, that's another option. And so I think that don't ever let your curiosity about life, whatever it happens to be, if you want to make macrame stuff all over the wall, or if you want to travel, but do something different than you did before that you always wanted to do, and then have the courage to step out and try it. That's my point.
I love that. I love that. And, I think there were so many things that, in that movie that I think are we've touched on so many significant parts of that. And I think one of them is, I think we touched on a little bit, but I want to see if we can maybe dive back into this, is that George didn't really realize all these little things that he had done. That really made an impact in people's lives, just being sometimes it was just simply being kind, or just offering someone, credit with, in the bank or what have you. But there are so many ways that we have our everyday actions that can really impact other people. And we don't always, I think, give ourselves even enough credit for that and to acknowledge it. So how can we talk about how we can really pay pay better attention to those things and see how we can, appreciate the little things that we do in life. Who wants to talk about that? Jean? Yeah, go ahead.
So I think it's a beautiful point. The awareness of who we are in the world. Tanya mentioned we don't even know our neighbors anymore. And yet I believe we are here at this time for a purpose. This isn't all by chance. And where we are, and by that I mean not just, physically located, but where we live, where our home is, where our work is, all of those things, where we have to commute to, that's all part of who we are in the world. And I don't believe that it's by chance that we are where we are right now. I have always known my neighbors wherever I've been. Some I've enjoyed, some I've less enjoyed. But then when you talk about where you are at work, right? What purpose are you serving? It was very interesting. There was a time when, and I've been an HR professional for over 30 years, there would be someone who would show up at my door that was just, the timing was just so poor. I had to go to a meeting. I had this, I had that. I didn't have time for this person. And anymore, I appreciate that that person's at my door for a reason. And they're coming to see me, not just HR, they're coming to see me. And so it's important to appreciate that whatever that other thing might be, and it's taken a lot of years, I'm sorry to say, I wish I'd have learned this sooner, but when someone shows up at your door, they need you now, not the meeting, not the report, not whatever else you need to be hustling off to do. Spend time, get to know your neighbors. It is a tragedy. And I think I think that COVID had a lot to do with it. And it's sad. It's sad that we don't find it necessary or don't value anymore who lives around us, who's near us, who is influenced potentially by us every day. And it's something we could really be embracing, and we're totally missing out on it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could I have a little more?
Go ahead.
I think we have to reach out more. Because it's so easy with the computer and doing things on Zoom and so on, and just getting sort of in our own little lives. So I think a good practice is to reach out to people more than we ever have, because it seems to be more needed now, because I think there's more loneliness of people because of the internet and so on. And this would help to give people that human connection, that heart connection, even if they don't need anything, but then they know we're there.
Absolutely.
I'd like to add to a comment you made earlier. Pragito, is that how you pronounce it? Pragito. Yeah, you were talking about gratitude, and along with the last comment, the print is so small I can't read your names, but having kindness. That, I mean, if you make it a practice of treating everyone you come in contact with kindness, whether it's a cashier you're checking out of the grocery store, or if you say something nice about them. People don't even get very many compliments anymore. It's just, it's, as you say, everybody's rushing here and there, and they're busy, and they're doing the job now that used to have two people doing it. All kinds of stressors are on them. I hate to drive now because everybody's looking like they're flying out of hell. It's horrible. But and it's because everybody is stressed out a lot. And so just a little kind word here and there. I know I appreciate it. And I think others do too. And it doesn't take anything. It doesn't cost you any money. It doesn't cost you any extra time to make one little comment that might raise somebody's, heart a little bit today. They may be having a rough time.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so, that's so perfect, because we've been talking a lot the past couple of months on this show about legacy, and I think kindness is a wonderful legacy to leave behind. And I'm going to share again, since Skip isn't here to be able to be with us in person. He wrote a fabulous song that we've been sharing on the show, and I'm going to share it with you all right now.
quiet moments. When the sun begins to rise, we find the strength within us. In the stories of our lives, not in gold or glory, but in hearts we've touched with grace, in the love we share with others, in each kind and gentle face. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. Through the trials and the triumphs, in the battles that we fight, it's the courage and the kindness that will always shine so bright. In the lessons that we teach and the dreams that we inspire, in the way we lift each other higher and higher. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held and the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. In the final song you sung, and the curtains drawing near, it's the moments filled with love that will echo year to year. In the footprints on the path that guide the lost and blind, your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind. Your legacy is the love you leave behind, in the hands you've held, the souls you've helped to find. It's the laughter in the children, the wisdom in the old. It's the light you sparked in others, in the stories that are told. So let's live with open hearts and give with all our might, for the legacy we leave is a beacon in the night, in the echoes of our actions, in the whispers of the wind. Our legacy of love is where it all begins. Our legacy of love is where it all begins.
Your legacy will live on in the hearts you've left behind.
I know, isn't that fabulous? It just touches my heart every time I see it. You know, we're nearing already, and this show has flown by again, nearing the end, but I want to bring up one other point and have you lovely ladies contribute to it. You know, one of the things I think we may have talked about a little bit, but maybe expand on it. One of the things is, you know, George felt so trapped, you know, by all these family obligations and things that he had. And how can, you know, I know sometimes a lot of other people kind of feel maybe stuck, maybe they're working in a job that they are not crazy about. I know firsthand a family member who felt that way for a lot of time. How can we find meaning, and how can we, you know, kind of be okay, I guess might be even another way to say it, with where we are, even if it's not exactly what we want. It's not as wonderful and as fabulous as we'd like it to be. So how can we maybe reframe it? Yeah, how could we do that?
Can I say something there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So I think, well, you know, having gratitude is going to help. We've already talked about having gratitude. I think also to have compassion for ourselves, because a lot of people, and I used to be this way till I got into meditation, are very self-judgmental and self-critical. That my life isn't just perfect and it's not this or it's not that. Always trying to match up to some impossible standard. And so I think compassion for oneself is very important to help with that. And then the more compassion you have for yourself, the more compassion you can have for others. The more acceptance of yourself, which acceptance being the opposite of judgment, the more self-acceptance, then the more acceptance you have for others. And then we become more tolerant, which doesn't mean we let people walk all over us, but just have that deeper heart. I see compassion as being the highest form of love, because compassion gives and expects nothing in return.
Yeah.
Whereas with love, there's a return. The love is reciprocated. But with compassion, I think it takes us to a higher level of love. And it's something that's start with yourself, practicing on yourself. And if you do feel stuck, and you can have compassion for yourself, gratitude for what is, for what you do have, and awareness, just awareness of what your circumstances are. I think that can help you to not feel stuck, because I tend to see stuck as people who are like, maybe in a way they're not even aware they're stuck. They're just on automatic pilot. The more self-awareness you have about your habits and your feeling state and what's going on in your mind, then the more mastery you have of yourself and your life, and you can then create your life the way you want it. Because I think we all have the ability to create our lives the way we want it.
Yeah, that's such an important point. Absolutely. Jean or Tanya, you want to piggyback on that?
Sure. Thought patterns are really important, and they are just what they sound like. They are the way that you think. And so when we talk about gratitude, when you get it down, right, when you start that appreciation and you've made it a habit, that's where things are going to go. And they're going to go for you no matter what. For example, my husband and I do thankfuls every night before dinner. And last night, as you might be able to tell, I am finally on the other side of feeling better after the flu. He said, "Are you thankful for having the flu?" And I said, "I'm thankful for being alive and strong enough to fight the flu," right? So it is really your perspective, and it's trust. It's trust for me in God. It's trust in the universe. It's trust that you should lean in to whatever it is. I know the flu is very different than feeling lost in a job that may be meaningless to you. I worked for many years at a place that I didn't want to be. And I didn't understand every day why I had to go to this place, but I believed there was a reason why I needed to be there, whether it was for myself or for others. That was the place I was to be. And I eventually found another place that I enjoyed much better. But the reality is, having looked back now, I can appreciate all that I gained from that experience that I wouldn't have had I just went, no, I'm not going to like this place. I'm not going to go to this place. I'm not going to tolerate this place. There's a lot to be said for fortitude. And I don't think our culture anymore embraces that. I think it's just whatever makes you happy. But that's not what a joyful life is. That's not what a wonderful life is. It is enduring as well. And how have we equipped ourselves and others around us to endure those hardships in life so that we can come out in a better place as a better person?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's so powerful. Yeah, go ahead, Tanya. You want to add
I'd
on
like
that?
to add to that. It sort of ties two of the comments together. I think we need to pay more attention to what I call spirit, the spirit that's inside of us. For me, it is God. You can call it the universe, you can call it source energy, what have you. A lot of people are very lonely. And as we go through our journeys and we learn how we can be better, that see one, do one, teach one, I think is important. Mentoring. And the mentoring could be someone older than yourself. It could be someone younger than yourself. But when you get insight into a different way or a way of reframing a problem or reframing a solution, and you bring spirit into it, I think that helps because a lot of young people now are kind of getting into the occult and stuff like that. And I think that's kind of like they're reaching out to feel like they can touch something because sometimes the traditional religious church is not doing the job for them anymore. And I think that as women, we owe it to those who are coming behind us to share our stories, our journeys, and make a point of doing that. And the other thing is, those of us who have done some courageous things sometimes that weren't typical when people were growing up, share that journey too, because it's not over till it's over. And I think that we can learn from each other. And I personally always feel like I'm never alone because I have God within me. I think the more we can touch with nature, you don't have to believe, go to church or believe in God even, but as you get attuned to what is around you and realize it's there for you, it's at any point. I think that a lot of people would have less problems, less stress, less, definitely
Uh-oh.
less depression.
Absolutely. Yeah. That you raised so amazing points there. So I think what we're going to do right now, because we are getting close to wrapping this up, is I'm going to call on each one of you to give one more lovely tip or suggestion on how we can cultivate this wonderful, fabulous life. So I'm going to start with you, Pragito. So leave us with one last golden nugget.
Be aware that you have the power to create the life you want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love that. And you can expand for another 30 seconds if you want on that.
Well, you don't have to be a victim of your circumstances. You can have that attitude of gratitude and realize that you are here to live your best life. We all are. And it's up to each one of us individually to have a vision for what that can be and go out there and create it.
Perfect. Love that. Tanya, how about you? What's your
Build
one?
joy into your life wherever you are. You're starting out, you're going towards the end. Make sure every day has some joy in it, because when you get ready to make your transition, nobody's going to ask you, did you get the Gucci shoes or did you do this? you know they're going to, the people who come to see you as you transition or what have you, they're going to remember your kindness. They're going to remember them. They're going to have memories of you. And if you don't make those memories with joy in them, nobody wants to come there. So,
Absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
For sure. Yes. And I love that joy. She starts her day every day knowing that she's got joy in her name. And she says, yeah, I have some joy every day. I love that. How about you, Jean? What's your?
Well, life is brief, but like Tanya said, it isn't over till it's over. So play the long game. Be patient. Be patient with yourself. You're learning something every day, whether it feels like it or not, and embrace that and be patient with others. It's hard sometimes. When we touched on, how are people acting out on the roads? How do we even know our neighbors when they don't even make eye contact us walking down the sidewalk? It's weird out there. And yet we can influence it, and we can positively influence it. Patience, be patient, and play the long game.
Yes, for sure. You know what? Let's take one more second. And what is your wish for everyone for 2025? We'll start with you, Jean.
I hope that they have health, wealth, and an abundance of happiness. And like George Bailey, they appreciate their family, because at the very end, all he wanted was to have his family back. So appreciate those who are around you.
I love that. How about you, Pragito? What's your wish for 2025?
For me personally, or for the world?
Or for everyone? Or if it's the same, both.
Well, yeah, probably is. More joy, more laughter, more fun and play. and more connection to spirit, whatever that means to you, more connection to your inner self.
Love it. Love it.
Inner wisdom and intuition.
Perfect. And Tanya, how about you?
Okay, if you can't take care of a problem in 5 minutes and it's not going to be a problem 5 years from now, don't sweat the small stuff. And it's mostly all small stuff.
I love it. I love it. Oh, my goodness. You ladies have been amazing today. And I don't know about the rest of you who've been watching, whether you're watching it live or on the replay, but hopefully you got some wonderful golden nuggets out of our discussion about how to really have a wonderful, fabulous life, not only today and at the holidays, but all year long, and to really be able to do that. And so for me and all of the wonderful, amazing production staff we've got behind the scenes, Joy and Caroline and Tamara, who is the creator of this show, I'm wishing all of you also a wonderful holiday season. And I'm gonna play this little video to also tell all of you that as well. So from all of us here at the Fab Show, Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, and we'll see you again next week. So take care, everyone.
Bye.
I want to say thank you for joining us today and welcome you back next Sunday as we once again are joined by a panel of subject matter experts that will explore and focus in on our fabulous lives. Until next Sunday.